Story 1. The lighthouse that was never supposed to turn on. I didn't take the job because I wanted solitude. I took it because I thought I could handle it. 6 months without people. Just maintenance logs, supply drops, and a rotating beacon on a forgotten stretch of coast in northern Scotland. The agency that hired me was vague. Paperwork came through an offshore contractor. No real office address. Just coordinates and instructions. When I arrived, the man leaving didn't speak until I unloaded his bags. Then he finally said, "You'll hear things at night. Don't try to explain them." I laughed. I actually remember that. I thought he was messing with me. The lighthouse itself was older than anything around it. Thick stone walls, salt-worn exterior, and a narrow spiral staircase that ran up through its core like a drilled wound. Every step echoed too long, like the structure was delaying the sound. The first week was almost peaceful. Routine inspections, cleaning oil residue from the lens system, checking the generator. The sea was always rough, but predictable. That's what I told myself. On the fourth night, I noticed something strange. The foghorn activated automatically, even though it was disconnected from the main control panel. I checked the logs. No trigger event. No power spike. Nothing. At exactly 3:13, the lighthouse light turned on. Not gradually. Instantly. I climbed up to the lantern room, assuming a fault. Everything was normal. Too normal. Except the sea outside the glass. It wasn't moving correctly. Not frozen. Not calm. Just delayed. Like I was watching it a few seconds after it had already happened. I told myself it was fatigue. But the next night, it happened again. And again. Always 3:13. I started recording audio. That's when the radio system began to interfere. At first, faint static. Then fragments of speech. Not English at first. Then my name. Spoken clearly, but distorted, like it was being dragged through water. I stopped sleeping properly after that. The worst part wasn't the light. It was the sea response. Whenever the lighthouse activated, the ocean reacted like something had blinked beneath it. Subtle at first, then undeniable. One night, I brought binoculars to the upper platform. The fog was too thick to see far. But when the light swept across the water, I saw something massive beneath the surface. Not a shape. A suggestion of structure. Like architecture under the ocean. Impossible scale. No movement. Just presence. The radio turned on again that night. But this time, it didn't stop. It stayed on. Breathing filled the room. Not mine. Then a second sound joined it, like pressure shifting in a deep tunnel. Then my name again. Closer. Behind me. I turned. Nothing. But the microphone on the desk was slowly tilting toward the door. I don't remember going upstairs after that. Only fragments. The staircase felt longer. Or I was slower. Or something was adding steps. Halfway up, I started hearing wet contact behind me. Not footsteps. Impact. Like something heavy adjusting itself inside the structure. When I reached the lantern room, the door was already open. The light wasn't mechanical anymore. It was organic, like it was pulsing through the glass. And outside, the sea had risen slightly. Not waves. Elevation. Something beneath it had come closer. Standing. Impossible height. No defined shape, but aware. And it was looking up. The light flickered. And it responded. Everything after that becomes unreliable. I remember falling. I remember cold water. I remember pressure in my chest that felt like being observed from all directions at once. Then waking up on shore. Burned hands. Salt in my lungs. a lighthouse behind me still operating normally, even though power lines to it had been cut during inspection 2 days earlier. The agency never responded to my report, but ships still logged the same anomaly, light at 3:13, even when systems show zero output, even when the structure is offline. Story 2. The White Station of Antarctica. I worked maintenance in remote scientific installations before, but Antarctica was different. Not colder. Quieter. Like the world had stopped expecting sound there. The station I was assigned to was listed under 3 different names in internal documentation. That was the first red flag. When I arrived, there were already 3 people waiting for me. None of them introduced themselves properly. They just handed me a printed rule sheet. Rule number 1 was underlined twice. Do not access substructure. The base was divided into 2 layers. Top level, living quarters, labs, communication arrays. Lower level, sealed industrial support. Except sealed was an understatement. It was welded shut, not bolted, welded. I asked why. No one answered directly. One technician just said, that part wasn't part of the original station. The first week was routine, ice readings, atmospheric sampling, generator maintenance. But the silence inside the station was wrong. Not absence of sound, presence of control. As if the building itself was regulating what could be heard. On day 5, I noticed the internal temperature rising slightly, 0.5 degree. Then 1 full degree. In Antarctica. I reported it. They told me it was calibration drift. On day 6, the first generator shut down. No warning. No fault. Just stopped. When I went to inspect it, I heard knocking inside the structural wall. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 again. I froze. Then the radio on my belt activated by itself. Not static. Voice. Calm. Human. Don't acknowledge it. I asked who was speaking. No response. Just breathing. That night, containment protocols activated automatically. Doors sealed in sequence. Air circulation slowed. Emergency lights turned red. And every terminal across the station displayed the same message. OLD, containment breach detected. I went to the archive room. Pulled offline logs. The first expedition logs didn't end. They were overwritten. But fragments remained in system redundancy. Enough to reconstruct something. They didn't leave. They stopped reporting. Then, the records changed tone. Passive voice. Then, administrative language. As if someone had rewritten human disappearance into bureaucracy. On the 8th night, the walls started moving. Not visibly. Audibly. Sensors detected pressure shifts inside insulation layers, like something was walking between panels. Then came voices. Not one. Many. Speaking at once. Different languages. Same sentence. We are still here. At that point, I stopped trusting internal systems, so I went below. The sealed door opened with no resistance. That was worse than if it had been locked. Inside, the architecture changed immediately. Hallways too long. Angles slightly incorrect. Doors placed where they shouldn't fit. It felt like the station was built around something older. Something already there. Then I found the rooms. Rows of them. All occupied. Not alive. Not dead in a traditional sense. Paused. Frozen mid-action, standing upright as if still part of a routine that never ended. A man holding a clipboard. A woman reaching for a door handle. All suspended. The radio on my belt activated again. But this time it played a recorded message. If you are hearing this, you are not in the surface station. You are in the expansion layer. I tried to run back. But the corridor behind me was no longer identical. It had changed, subtly at first, then unmistakably. Longer, deeper, incorrect. I don't remember exiting, only waking up on the surface level, outside. But the station had grown, not rebuilt, expanded. Additional structures extending into the ice like they had always been there. And in the distance, lights flickering where no infrastructure existed before. Story 3. The oil rig and the living depth. Offshore platforms have a very specific kind of isolation. Not quiet. Mechanical. Constant vibration. Metal breathing under stress. We were 14 crew members. Rotating shifts. Standard extraction operation in the North Atlantic Basin. Everything normal. Until the sonar picked up something beneath the rig. At first, they thought it was geological. Then they realized it wasn't stationary in the usual sense. It was too structured, too coherent, like a single object instead of formations. At 300 meters below, it stayed still. For hours. Then days. The engineer logged it as anomaly pending review. But I saw his face when he said it. He didn't believe his own classification. On the third night, hull sensors registered impact. No external damage. No storm. Just contact from below. Slow. Rhythmic. As if something was testing the underside of the structure. One of the crew started complaining about sound. Said he could hear music in the ballast chambers. We dismissed it. Until more of us started hearing it. Not music in any normal sense. Pattern recognition. Like sound trying to become signal. The kind of thing your brain insists is meaning even when there shouldn't be any. By the fifth night, the ocean changed completely. Flat. Not calm. Artificially still. No wave activity across visible range. And every external light on the rig activated without command. We went outside. The deck was wet. Not from rain. From seawater rising upward in thin sheets. And there were footprints, leading from the sea to the central tower. Then stopping. No return path. The engineer disappeared that night. He left a recorder running. We found it later. 47 minutes of silence. Then breathing. Then his voice. It's not underneath us. It's supporting us. That statement didn't make sense at first. Then it started to. Evacuation was ordered, but helicopters couldn't land. Something below was disturbing water surface geometry. Reflections didn't align with physical movement, like the sea was showing something else underneath reality. Then communications failed entirely. No radio, no satellite uplink, just mechanical noise. And the rig began to tilt, slowly, like something was releasing pressure from below. Final system log, non-natural structure detected, classification, living. After that, no further transmissions. Only satellite imagery showing persistent circular motion in the water long after structural collapse, as if something remained active below the surface. Continuing, uninterrupted, alive.